Hi, this is Matthew McCullough. Today's podcast is about the Maven command line interface plugin. Such a plugin existed for Maven 1.0, but we were missing out on such a thing for Maven 2.0 for quite a long time. Don Brown came along and started this project, and I've actually joined Don recently to help with just a few cleanup, feature additions, and some refactoring. And I'm finding this is really helping me be productive when I use the same Maven commands over and over in a particular work environment during the day. I'm not having to pay the startup time for the Maven bootstrapping with this plugin. I can execute plugins quickly over and over. So, homepage to this, github.com/mrdon/maven-cli-plugin. Has an excellent wiki that tells you what you need to know to get started, so you can copy and paste what you need to put into your settings.xml and otherwise, and what the different options of the commands are. Let's get right into using it and see how this can benefit you. I'm sitting inside a project that I've created from the default Maven archetype, so all it has in it is the standard source main Java, one app Java file, and a unit test. So this is just enough to prove out the usage of this plugin. I'm going to do maven-cli execute. There are two main goals in this plugin, execute and execute phase. Execute is actually letting you choose any plugin that's registered to execute. Execute phase is issuing steps in the Maven lifecycle. You do have to make the determination, and at one point I may actually merge these two features together so that you can issue either of the commands within one. Let's start with maven-cli execute. It starts up, and we're at a Maven prompt. This is actually bootstrapped Maven sitting inside waiting for us to issue individual commands. Commands in here are all listed via the question mark. You can see the current ones that we registered are the most commonly used. Clean, test, help, install, some of the dependency ones as well. It is a specific set of catalog right now. It may be extended later so that you can configure it at runtime. But for now, it's these 15 or so default plugin executions, and they're the most commonly used. Let's try clean. Notice that was really quick, not paying any boot up time for Maven. Let's try jar. Compile first. First things first. And then a jar. And then install. The runtimes for these are blazingly fast compared to paying the boot up time for each of these if we were running them individually at the command line. So, how do you get this and how do you use it? Just a couple of tricks. Actually, you have to make one minor modification to your settings XML, and that is to register a new plugins group. By default, Maven only looks for plugins in the org.apache.maven package name. If you want to have your package name be something else, and for Maven to still find the plugin, you actually have to register it explicitly. A little bit crazy, but 3 simple lines of XML, and you're good to go. Plugin groups, plugin group, org twdata.maven. That's the package name for this project. You also need to add a repository. This information is available over on the wiki. To get this, it is actually hosted at the twdata m2 repository hosted at Google Code. You can either put that into your settings.xml, your actual pom.xml for a given project if you like, or if you use something like Sonatype Nexus, which is an excellent proxy for Maven, you can actually just slip it in, click on repositories, add a new repository, give it a name of twdata, and put in this URL. Large font on your screen there. So, you've got the repository, you've registered the new name for plugins to look, you're good to go. You can start using it. So, what if you don't want to execute a particular plugin, you actually want to just execute a lifecycle. Let's say by, drop out of that, and Maven execute phase. This is for running the Maven lifecycles, not particular plugins, but actually lifecycle events. Whatever is bound to that particular lifecycle will execute. So the same catalog of functions kind of is still here. We can do a clean, but instead of explicitly having to call compile, then jar, then install, for example, I can just simply say install, because that's part of the Maven lifecycle, and everything necessary up to that point runs. Just the same as from the command prompt if you were actually typing mvn space install. It compiles, it jars, it tests, and it puts it in your local repository. So as you can see, the execution time on these is going to be significantly less than if you're paying the Maven boot up time for iterative executions of perhaps the same goal, same phase. So I hope this saves you a lot of time in your use of Maven. It's a really neat project. If you have any suggestions or enhancements, hop over to GitHub. Again, the page being right here. Fork it, make some of your own changes, add suggestions, make commits, and give us feedback as to what you'd like to see in this next. This is Matthew McCullough helping you be more productive in Maven. Thanks for tuning in.